Good day everyone, I am Engineer Janina Marie de Belen, currently working at the Department of Public Works and Highways, Nueva Ecija, 2nd District Engineering Office, and I will be presenting the last three parts of Design for Quality. The last three parts are the design in the service sector, the failure mode, effect and criticality analysis or FMECA, and the links between good design and managing the business. The objectives of this presentation are: discuss the application of TQM concepts in the service sector, paying particular attention to the nature of services and the customer or supplier interfaces. Next is how FMECA can help an organization improve customer satisfaction. Design in the service sector. Design in the service sector. The emergence of the services sector has been suggested by economists to be part of the natural progression in which economic dominance changes first from agriculture to manufacturing and then to services. It is argued that if income elasticity of demand is higher for services than it is for goods, then, and as incomes rise, resources will shift towards services. The continuing growth of services verifies this and is further explained by changes in culture, fitness, safety, demography, and lifestyles. So pag mataas pala ang demand ng services kumpara sa goods or sa produkto habang tumataas ang kita, ang serbisyo ngayon ay isa sa mga magiging resources. In considering the design of services, it is important to consider the differences between goods and services. Some authors argue that the marketing and design of goods and services should conform to the same fundamental rules, whereas others claim that there is a need for a different approach to service because of the recognizable differences between the goods and the services themselves. Ano ang pinagkaiba ng goods at services? Goods are items with a physical existence. Kumbaga, nasasalat, nakikita natin, nahahawakan natin. When we buy a good, we acquire a tangible product. However, services are transactions that do involve the transfer of ownership from the seller to the buyer. Serbisyo is an act. Halimbawa, pag nag-acquire tayo ng legal services sa isang lawyer, we do not acquire a physical product. This service. Next. Characteristics of service delivery systems. In terms of design, it is possible to recognize three distinct elements in the service package: the physical elements of facilitating goods, the explicit service or sensual benefits, and the implicit service or the psychological benefits. In addition, the particular characteristics of service delivery systems may be itemized by intangibility, perishability, simultaneity, and heterogeneity. So, umpisahan natin sa first element. First element ay facilitating goods. The material purchased or consumed by the buyer are items provided by the consumer. Example nito ay ang mga food items, auto parts, and golf clubs. Second element is the explicit service or sensual benefits. Example services nito ay ang mga spa parlor o yung mga salon. Third element is the implicit service or the psychological benefits. Ang example services naman nito ay ang mga insurances, educational plans, etc. Intangibility. It is difficult, if not impossible, to design the intangible aspects of a service, since consumers often must use experience or the reputation of a service organization and its representatives to judge quality. Masasabi natin intangible ang isang serbisyo dahil madalas ay hindi natin nakikita, natitikman, nararamdaman, naririnig or naaamoy natin sila bago natin sila i-purchase. Perishability is often an important issue in services since it is often impossible or undesirable to hold stocks of the explicit service element of the service package. This aspect often requires that service operation and service delivery must exist simultaneously. Sa perishability, hindi tayo pwedeng mag-imbak ng products or services dito. Halimbawa na lang sa bakery, perishable ang mga products dito at kailangan ay laging fresh ang ating produkto at bagong gawa. Next, another halimbawa is yung sa palengke, yung mga fruits. Yan, kailangan talaga, hindi natin naiimbak yan at laging kailangan mabenta agad. Simultaneity. Simultaneity occurs because the consumer must be present before many services can take place. Hence, services are often formed in small and dispersed units, and it's difficult to take advantage of economies of scale. Halimbawa na lang nito ay ang banking services. Kailangan ay present si consumer habang ginagawa ang serbisyo. Heterogeneity. Heterogeneity of services occurs in consequence of explicit and implicit service elements, relying on individual preferences and perceptions. Differences exist in the outputs of organizations generating the same service within the same organization, and even the same employee on different occasions. The term heterogeneity describes the uniqueness of service offerings, also known as variability. For example, the taxi service that transports the consumer from his home to the mall is different from the taxi service that transports the same consumer or yung tao from the mall to his home. It has its own uniqueness. There are 5 categories of design of services. First is the service factory, the service shop, the mass service, the professional service, and personal services. Let's go first to service factory. The service factory. These firms can take advantage of economies of scale and may employ less expensive and skilled workers, as do most factories. Firms classified as service factories include truck lines, hotels or motels, and airlines. Next, service shop. Example naman ito ay mga hospitals, auto repair shops, restaurants, and other things. Mass service. Ang example naman ng mass service providers include retail and wholesale firms and schools, mga maliliit na tindahan or convenience stores or mga grocery stores and schools kasi kailangan nila ng mas maraming service galing sa mga tao ba, sa mga people. Next is the professional service. Examples of this service are doctors, lawyers, accountants, architects, bankers. These typical service providers that tend to be labor intense and have a high degree of customer interaction and customization. And the last category is the personal service. Mass service providers personal assistant, yaya, personal driver, ang ganun. Several services attributes have particular significance for the design of service operations. First is labor intensity. The labor intensity is the ratio of labor costs incurred to the value of assets and equipment used. It is people versus equipment-based services. Second is contact. The proportion of the total time required to provide the service for which the consumer is present in the system. Third is interaction. The extent to which the consumer actively intervenes in the service process to change the content of the service. This includes customer participation to provide information from which needs can be assessed, and customer feedback from which satisfaction levels can be inferred. Fourth is customization, which includes choice, providing one or more selections from a range of options, which can be single or fixed, and adaptation, the interaction process in which the requirement is designed and delivered to match the need. The fifth service is the nature of service act, either tangible, example, perceptible to touch and can be owned, or intangible, or example is insubstantial. Sixth is the recipient of service. It's either people or things ang recipient of service. As in this table, it is the classification of selected services. Meron ditong accountant, architect, bank, beautician, and everything. Pag sa accountant, ang labor intensity daw ay high. Sa contact, low contact, high interaction with the consumers, adaptive sa customization, pwedeng mag-customize, pwedeng not. Nature of act, intangible. Hindi natin nakikita or nasasalat. Recipient of service, things. Ito lang yung mga example sa table. Tulad na to, sa restaurant, high, low choice, tangible people. In this table, it is seen kung ano-ano yung mga another examples pa ng mga services. Like yung personal services, pwedeng yung beautician, yung hairdresser, dental practitioner. Sa service shop naman, yung mga clinics, cafeteria, service station, gas station, mga malls. Sa professional services, sabi ko nga kanina, mga accountants, architects, engineers, vet, doctors. Sa mass services, mga hotel, colleges, coach service, career film, restaurants, bus services. Service factory, yan, mga firms, repair firm, cleaning firm, mga banks. Next topic is failure mode, effect, and criticality analysis, or FMECA. Failure mode and effect analysis, FMEA, is the study of potential failures to determine their effects. If the results of an FMECA are ranked in order of seriousness, then the word criticality is added to give FMECA. The primary objective of an FMECA is to determine the features of product, design, production, or operation, and distribution that are critical to the various modes of failure in order to reduce failure. Ang FMECA ay isang analysis kung saan pinag-aaralan kung ano-ano ang mga or kung saan ang mga magiging possible failure ng isang bagay or serbisyo para maiwasan ito or malesen. Elements of a complete FMECA. Failure mode. The anticipated conditions of operation are used as the background to study the most probable failure mode, location, and mechanism of the product or system and its components. Next is failure effect. The potential failures are studied to determine their probable effects on the performance of the whole product, process, or service, and the effects of the various components on each other. Failure criticality. The potential failures on the various parts of the product or system are examined to determine the severity of each failure effect in terms of lowering of performance, safety hazard, loss of function, and etc. Moments of truth. Moments of truth, or MOT, is a concept that has much in common with FMECA. The idea was created by Jan Carlson, the CEO of an Scandinavian Airlines, SAS, and was made popular by Albrecht and Zimke. In MOT analysis, the point of potential dissatisfaction are identified proactively, beginning with the assembly of process flowchart diagrams. Even small steps taken by a customer in his or her dealings with the organization's people, products, or services is recorded. It may be difficult or impossible to identify all the MOTs, but the systematic approach should lead to a minimization of the number and severity of unexpected failures and this provides the link with FMECA. The links between good design and managing the business. Research carried out by the European Center for Business Excellence has led to a series of specific aspects that should be addressed to integrate design into the business or organization. These are presented under the various business criteria. Under the leadership management style, listening is designed into the organization. Management communicates the importance of good design in good partnership and vice versa. A management style is adopted that fosters innovation and creativity that motivates employees to work together effectively. Customer's strategy and planning. The customer is designed into the organization as a focus to shape policy and strategy decisions. Designers and customers communicate directly. Customers are included in the design process. Customers are helped to articulate and participate in the understanding of their own requirements. Systems are in place to ensure that the changing needs of the customers inform changes to policy and strategy. Design and innovation performance measures are incorporated into policy and strategy reviews. The design process responds quickly to customers. People, their management, and satisfaction. People are encouraged to gain a holistic view of design within the organization. There is commitment to design teams and their motivation, particularly in cross-functional teamwork. The training program, as designed with respect to design, in terms of people skills training, example, interpersonal and management teamwork, and technical training, example, are the resources or the softwares. Training helps integrate design activities into the business. Training impacts on design, example, honing creativity and keeping people up to date with design concepts and activity. Design activities are communicated, including new product or service concepts. The job satisfaction is harnessed to foster good design, and the results of employee surveys are fed back into the design process. Next, resource and partnership management. Knowledge is managed proactively, including investment in technology. Information is shared in the organization. Past experience and learning are captured from design projects and staff. Information resources are available for planning design projects. Suppliers contribute to innovation, creativity, and design concepts. Concurrent engineering and design is integrated through the supply chains. Process management. Design is placed at the center of process planning to integrate different functions within the organization and form partnerships outside the organization. Process thinking is used to resolve design problems and foster teamwork within the organization and with external partners. Impact on safety, on society, and business performance. Considerate is given on how the design of a product or service impacts on the environment, the recyclability and disposal of materials, the packaging and wastage of resources, the local economy, and the business results, both financial and non-financial. The same research showed that strong links exist between good design and proactive, flexible deployment of business policies and strategies. This can be used to further improve design by encouraging the sharing of best practice within and across industries, by allowing designers and customers to communicate directly, by investigating new product or service, introduction policies, project audits and design, innovation, measurement policies, and by communicating the strategy to employees. The findings of this work may be summarized by thinking in terms of the value chain. This is the figure for value chain and design processes. First is the supplier, the organization, and the customer. They are all involved in the design process. Effective people management skills are essential for good design. These include the ability to listen and communicate, to motivate employees, and encourage teamwork, as well as the ability to create an organizational climate which is conducive to creativity and continuous innovation. The only way to ensure that design actively contributes to business performance is to make sure it happens by design rather than by accident. In short, it needs coordinating and managing right across the organization. References. Um, John S. Oakland, Total Quality Management Text with Cases, 3rd edition. And Lockyer, KG, Mulleman, AP, and John S. Oakland, Production and Operations Management, 6th edition. My team members are Engineer Roy Pineda, Edwin Roy Pineda, Engineer Mayan Carlos, and myself. We are all from the Department of Public Works and Highways, Nueva Ecija 2nd District Engineering Office. Thank you very much po for listening.